The purpose of this video is to give you an introduction to what opportunities are available for accountants in the film and television industry. Well, first of all, let's look at the state of health of the film industry. This is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in November 2012. So the domestic box office gross, which it reports for 2011, was $10 billion and 174 million. And even more interesting, the number of film schools in the U.S. was 723. Now these film schools have caught up with digital filmmaking and they're producing like mad. Let me show you here. This is the Wikipedia page and it shows film production companies in the United States. And here it says the following 200 pages are in this category out of 674 total. This list may not reflect recent changes. So that industry is booming. So I had a look at the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America, to see what industry reports they could pick up. So here's the 2012 Economic Contribution Report, and this is their fact sheet. And they're even though it's dated 2012, they're running a little late. They've got 2010 here, but it says here they're supporting 2.1 million jobs and nearly 143 billion in total wages in 2010. And stats are up since then. All the broadcast revenues and box office revenues. So direct industry jobs generated 42.1 billion in wages. Yeah, and the average salary is 32% higher than the national average. So things are happening. It's really moving. Let's check out another report that the MPA has here. 2012 theatrical market statistics. Alright, so I'm going to go down here to what they call domestic, which is US and Canada. You have to remember Canada has a smaller population than the state of California. So here it says 2012, just to show you that it's now up to 10.8 billion, up 6% compared to 2011 and up 12% from 5 years ago. So the stats are still increasing. Okay, so now what are the opportunities for accountants in this? Well, I wanted to show you this map just to show that the film industry has expanded from the traditional spots of Hollywood and New York, and actually are now coming up to all of, or if not all, most of the states in America. And the big reason is the incentives that are being put out by the states. Their production incentives for film production, and they want to draw money from Hollywood and from New York and bring it to their state, or even from foreign countries. Even Bollywood movies are being shot in America. So now, alright, what's that for accountants? Well, each one of these states, with very few exceptions, I'll show you some exceptions, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, but even Montana and Wyoming have things. It's like everywhere on the East Coast except New Hampshire. All of these states are going right down through the Mississippi River, all through the south, going up the West Coast, even Alaska. They all have some sort of incentive to bring film production to their state. And now, what are the incentives? They're tax credits, or they could be a grant, or I think in the state of Maine they call it a rebate. It could be a transferable tax credit, like in Florida and Louisiana. What does Michigan do? They got a grant. So they have different terminology, and in this particular website you can learn more about each one. I go through 4 or 5 on self-study course. So now, okay, CPAs need to audit. Alright, not in every single state, but in many states they need to audit. So I pulled this quote out from the state of Connecticut. Every state has some sort of instructions for the CPA, and here the instructions in the state of Connecticut are in part 3. It says, I'm sorry, in part 2, the final bit here, they have to use GAAP, of course, and the auditor must have sufficient knowledge of accounting principles and practices generally recognized in the film, television, commercial, and digital media industry. Now, if you want to get listed on the state of Connecticut as a CPA who can do audits, you must have done my course. Alright, so now what does this mean for bookkeepers? Well, I pulled up the audit instructions for Connecticut and some instructions from Texas. Let's have a look. There's essentially 3 steps to this whole process of getting state tax incentive credits or grants or refunds. And that is, first of all, you need to apply. So you have to have this eligibility application. Sometimes it gets kind of complex, and they need accountants to help them out with it. And of course, CPA can't do it because he's going to be auditing. So they need professional bookkeepers and accountants. The second stage is, of course, production, where they prepare this thing called the detailed cost report. If it's small, this area is actually relegated to a profession called film production accounting. However, if it's small enough, they'll need to have someone locally who is a professional accountant to actually do their bookkeeping and prepare this cost report. And at the end, of course, then we have audit instructions and the audit for that particular state. I like the way the state of Texas lays it out here. They have here the application process, shows it clearly, and gives you some tips and forms, and then the start date confirmation, then during production, and then the verification process. And here and then the payment process, of course, which is the final submission from the auditor and with the producer's forms. Now, producers do need your help. I've been delivering workshops in California, Louisiana, Orlando, New York, Michigan, and Georgia, and Atlanta, going to Texas soon. These places all have tons of independent producers who need professional bookkeeping help. Believe me, they really need your help. So let's take it from there and just end off and say, look, there are ways that you can learn film accounting and auditing. There are ways you can get introduced to this business. Thank you very much for listening.